The following is an Operation Podcast production.
I remember waking up after my surgery and having hot tears in my eyes. And after that, I suffered with a resurgence of my PTSD from childhood, depression, anxiety. Even when I tried to leave the house, I would immediately get in my car and have a panic attack. My migraines that I had been taking medication since kindergarten for were gone. No more debilitating migraines. My stomach pain was gone.
I had the same experience, by the way.
I thought this was my human body.
I mean, what the
When I first started, I'm like, who am I to charge X, Y, and Z? I'm just me. Like, I'm not worth that. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't even imagine it. So that was a really big mindset block I had to work through.
Are you ready for a wild ride? I'm Alexis and I invite you to strap in because this is more than a podcast. This is Look at Me Now.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Look at Me Now. And I am really excited because sometimes I do a pre-call to get to know somebody before the podcast, and sometimes we sit down never having talked before. But in this podcast episode, I actually did have the chance to have a pre-call and get to know the person sitting in the chair opposite me. And it really revved my engines for today's podcast. I'm really excited to have a very juicy conversation with Katie Stewart, who's sitting here with me today. She's a registered holistic nutritionist, but more importantly, she is the founder of Katie Stewart Wellness, and she's right here, y'all. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
I've been looking forward to coming to record with you for literally ever.
I'm so pumped.
Like when we chatted, I'm like, you just like your energy, everything about you. I was like, yes.
Yes. It's just a yes. It's
just
a
a yes.
vibrational match.
Yep.
And we're bringing it to you here.
Let's do it.
Let's go. So, Katie, first of all, I would love to just give people a brief synopsis of where you are now. Don't go too deep into it because we're going to go back before we go forward.
Okay.
But I just want to sort of give people the flavor of who we're talking to.
Absolutely.
So why don't
Real
you
quick.
let people know sort of the Katie that is coming forward in this podcast?
So right now, as you mentioned, I am a registered holistic nutritionist by designation. That's what I trained to be. But I've really moved into more of that CEO role in our company. We've been able to expand really quickly over the last 5 years. And, now I have an entire team of women that work for me. There's 20 women on our staff. And that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of, is being able to employ an all-female team that are able to, make their own money and show up in their own life and be able to provide for their families. So that's just me right now. I'm running our new acne nutrition coaching company where we're helping women all over the world clear up their skin, and just loving every day of it most days.
Most days.
Most days.
I love the honesty.
Yeah.
We got to come out the gate strong with the honesty.
Yes,
so
always.
I appreciate you. All right, now we're going to go back,
Let's
right?
do it.
This is what we do. So let's go way back, right, to the humble beginnings of Miss Katie Stewart. So
Yeah.
tell us, I was born.
Well, yes, 35 years ago I was
Yes.
born. I'm actually from Canada, so
It happens to all of us. We
it
all get
happens
born.
To all of us,
We
do
all get born.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I live in Ontario, Canada, which is where Toronto is, for anyone that's not familiar. And growing up, I always wanted to be on television. That was, my mom said, from a really little girl, you were like, I am going to be on TV. That's all I wanted to do. And I went to school in Toronto to study media studies journalism. And in my first year of university, I was 17 at the time, I got a job working for Hockey Night in Canada. And for those that aren't familiar with hockey, that is our version of Sunday Night Football. That is, our Sunday Night Football is one of the biggest broadcasts in the country. So getting the opportunity to work on that at 17, going to school for television, was massive.
I mean, that's a very big deal. I'm just going to
Huge.
say, my brother played hockey growing
you
up.
know.
I mean, I grew up on the East Coast of the
know.
United States. Philly in the house.
Oh,
Let's
your
go
Flyers.
Eagles.
Yeah. Oh.
But no, I digress. No, my brother was major hockey player. And so, I mean, he ended up playing for a D1 school and stuff like that in hockey. But it was always like, if you were going to go to a good hockey camp, it was Canada. Like, Canada takes hockey very seriously. Like, that's some primo stuff right there if you were in the heart of that business up there.
Absolutely. And I did that for 14 seasons. So I spent 14 years of my life based in like a really big chunk of that time where I'm developing as an adult. From the age of 17 to 30, I was working there. And at the same time, I spent 5 years after I graduated from university, I got a job as an on-air location host and videographer. So I was going out on location every day, sometimes shooting my own content, sometimes had a cameraman, editing all of my footage, working in the control rooms. So I was building this really big career in television. And, you know, I got to the point where you had to specialize in something. And I'm like, even though I work for Hockey Night, I don't like sports. Yeah, so I don't. I know, so I don't like sports, and I didn't want to work in news because it's depressing all the time. I didn't want to work in entertainment because you're gossiping about people. So my producer was like, "Okay, Katie, like you need a specialty then." And I'm like, "Well, I really fell in love with nutrition working on this gluten-free cooking show. So maybe I'll go back to school, study nutrition, and be an expert on one of the lifestyle shows here in Toronto." And that just took a complete different trajectory than I ever expected it to.
Don't you love when the universe just throws you a curveball?
The biggest curveball.
But you hit it and you like crush it out of the park.
Yeah, it was, like I said, is I never wanted to do anything but work in television. Even when I went to school to study nutrition, it was always to go back to television. And then that curveball came, and here I am running a nutrition coaching company that I never saw coming.
You know, and it really just goes to show, I mean, go figure, I'm going to take it here, but it really just goes to show, we just don't know. Like, stop trying to control the outcome. Stop trying to pretend like you know where life is going, or like you want to control where life is going, because maybe there's a divine plan that is so much better than your limited mind could ever fathom, could ever come up with. Like, don't try to arm wrestle the universe and think you're winning. Like, no.
I think that's like one of the most profound things people can really truly bring into themselves.
Yeah.
Is that, like, I even have it tattooed on my wrist, life happens for you, not to you. Because there is a much bigger divine plan. And when you're trying to micromanage and control the universe, you're just fighting against it.
And I feel like you know so much about that, not just in the career space. Can you walk us through some of your more personal history?
Absolutely. So, you know, I think no human being goes through life unscathed.
Correct.
You'd be very lucky.
There is a equal challenge to every step forward has a step back. That's just the way that life works. It's equilibrated, whether we like it or not. What goes up must come down equal distance. I say it all the time. You're probably yawning if you're listening to me right now because you've listened to me before and heard me say it. But you can't escape it. It's science. It's math. Okay, that's just what happens. Equal shadow to light. Okay.
And so I truly believe that we come here as souls to learn and experience challenges and
100.
to grow as souls. So
100.
That's why I look back on these challenges and obstacles in my life as things that were meant to happen. So, you know, growing up, I do come from a domestic violence home. So the first 8 years of my life was that. And then another 4 years of the psychological and verbal and manipulation and abuse for that. So I know that had a really instrumental impact on like my personality and who I am as a person today. And then, you know, fast forward through high school, and now I'm starting a family with my husband. We had our first son. You know, I actually suffered with hyperemesis gravidarum, which is a severe extreme form of pregnancy nausea and vomiting, where you're losing weight, like you don't keep water down. It's awful. And then going into my second pregnancy, I ended up having a late loss at 5 months. And at that far along, you have to deliver the baby because you're so far along. So going in, being induced, having to deliver a baby I already knew was gone, was one of like the worst experiences in my entire of my life. And then shortly after, about 6 months later, I had another loss at 13 weeks. That was a DNC, so I had to go in for a surgery as well. That was like, I remember waking up after my surgery and having hot tears in my eyes. And after that, I suffered with a resurgence of my PTSD from childhood, depression, anxiety. I could barely, like, even when I tried to leave the house, I would immediately get in my car and have a panic attack. It was so difficult to deal with. And then, you know, we ended up in 2021 having our second son, Frankie. And then just this year, I had 2 back-to-back miscarriages at 6.5 weeks, right back to back. Awful experience. as well. So those have been like two of like the miscarriages and the domestic violence, I think, have been like the two biggest things that I've struggled with.
It's unbelievable. So there are so many pieces of what's unbelievable, but it's unbelievable the resilience that you've had to conjure, right? Just one of those challenges on its own, right? Let alone 8 years as an innocent, who doesn't feel resourced enough to be able to change her circumstances because you're so young. It's not like you can be like, I'm moving out, of this toxic, violent home. And it's sort of like a very powerless feeling at that point.
Absolutely.
And then to have the same experience of feeling powerless over these pregnancies. I mean, anybody who has experienced infertility challenges, anybody who's experienced pregnancy loss, I mean, all of these things, it's, even when you do carry a pregnancy to term and like the birthing process, I mean, for any women that are listening, it's a really loaded topic, and it comes with so much uncertainty and so many things that are out of our control. And so to deal with all of that in succession and to have to conjure a sense of self-care and resilience to, even just try getting pregnant again and then do it again and then do it again because you want the result so badly, but the process itself being what it is. Can you walk us through your emotional flexibility, your emotional strength? Like, what have you learned from all of this about yourself and about the human potential to be resilient?
Yeah, I think resiliency has kind of been a big theme in my life, whether it's been personal or professional. I can definitely see that attribute that I've had. And while you're in it and you're living it, you don't feel resilient. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm being so resilient with this. Like it was so difficult. And, struggling with the mental health issue component of it, and see, like on the outside, everything looks fine, right? Because whether it's Instagram or I'd like see people at parties from a very young age living in a domestic violence home, I really figured out how to be able to wear a mask and to like present a really perfected front to the outside. So if you would see me out and about, like even now, you're like me being able to talk about it so, I don't want to say carefree, but so easily. It really comes from that ability to wear a mask really well. And no wonder I went to work in television, because that you wear a mask, like a perfect presentation of a mask every single day. It's very controlled. So I can see this theme that I've had throughout my life. And these things I've gone through, I've spent a lot of years in therapy. I'm very spiritual, like, law of attraction and affirmations, like you name it, I'm into that. And so I've had to do a lot of work on myself, because I saw how easy it would have been to just go down that slippery slope and to stay there. But I didn't want to stay like that. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to, whether it's that, generational trauma, and break through and be able to provide my sons that I have with a better life than I did, and provide that emotional, toolkit for them as well. I think when I started doing all of this work, I really realized that at the core root of all of these things I've experienced was like that limiting belief of not being enough.
We all have it.
Right?
We all have it. It presents differently and it emerges through different external circumstances. But I'm here to tell you, I don't have like statistical proof for you or anything, but I'm here to tell you from the thousands of people that I've like worked with and had these very authentic conversations with and coached, like that is the root of, people say sometimes like, oh, I'm too much, but really the too muchness is my too muchness is not enough. Like everybody feels that way to one degree or another.
100%. It just shows up in different ways in our life. And, it's that limiting belief where we're not enough no matter what we do. And I think when we live in this day and age of social media where it's so perfect and we see perfection everywhere, it really impacts that ability to feel enough on a day-to-day basis.
And I find it not a coincidence that the pivot that you made was ultimately leading to a place where what you presented on the outside comes from an internal health, right? Like you're still working with the mask that everybody wears, which is their skin, right? But you're focusing on it from what we're putting in our bodies, what we metabolize emotionally even, right? Like not just like fruits and vegetables or whatever, and we'll get into that, but like what we're putting in our bodies is paramount importance for what we're showing the world.
That's such an incredible correlation I've never made for myself before, that I came into now I do this job where it is about a mask that we wear. It's about our skin on the outside and what we put into it. And I've never made that connection before. That's very profound.
You're welcome. Marketing gold.
Seriously, that is incredible. Where I'm like, oh, damn, like I really did do that.
Yeah, but I coach for a living, so I can see some things sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not a coincidence,
No,
right?
it's not.
I mean, it's the next evolution of your curriculum. Like we're all here in our like soul school, if you will, and working through our stuff. And, you know, my coach always used to say, or she still says, you know, we're always going to have the same themes, right? Like the way your I'm not enough shows up, or the way my I'm not enough shows up. Like we're all dealing with it, right? And my curriculum may show up one way and yours may show up another. But she's like, it's almost like an ascending spiral staircase where you're always leveling up, right? Like you're always getting better, faster, stronger at dealing with that core challenge, right?
Absolutely.
Or that core limiting belief or whatever. But every time you hit it on the next level up. Like you're ascending and ascending.
Yeah.
You're not free of hitting the challenge. Like you're always going to circle around to that challenge. But every time that you circle around to it, it's like a higher elevation of enlightenment,
Absolutely.
embodied enlightenment, if you will. And so this is like, of course, like a natural evolution, the way that I see it, of the way that you're showing up to your curriculum.
I think that's the most perfect description of it ever.
And being of service in doing it. Like I always come back to, you know, it being about not just how am I in service to myself, but how am I in service to the greater good. And that's where the most healing power, like the, you know, healing to the power of whatever number comes in, is when it's not just self-serving, but it's in service of the greater good.
And I don't think I've ever said this publicly to anybody, but one of my big whys of why I want to be so successful, aside from providing for my family and everything, and being able to hire an all-female team, is one of my big dreams is to be able to build like a domestic violence shelter for women and have like a very holistic approach to it, you know, put it in the neighborhood that I grew up in. Like that's one of my very big scary end goals that I've never said out loud.
Oh my God, wait, why is it scary? Why do you not say it? This is important stuff.
I know. Like I've said it to my close, like my husband and my right, like my right and left hand who work with me.
What's the fear of declaration?
I don't know what it is. I'm like, is it just seem too big of an ostentatious goal to be that successful, to be able to
Hell
build?
no.
I know.
And we're declaring it out loud. Like you got to put it out there to the universe and say, like, there's a bigger mission behind this. There's a way bigger why than just me or what I can do for your skin. Like we can change the world.
Yeah, that's like, I always think about like, what can I give back based on my experiences?
Yes.
So it's like, for me, the domestic violence was such a huge impact, and I've seen firsthand how difficult it is for a woman to leave an abusive relationship, or really anyone to leave an abusive relationship. So really my mom is the inspiration for me to want to do that. And then the other component that we really love to support is food for kids. My mom grew up extremely poor, like poorer than poor, and, you know, would be hungry most of the time. So I want to be able to also donate back and, you know, put in things into place that can allow children from those inner city areas to be able to at least have food when they go to school.
I mean, honestly, is there anything more motivating than that?
No. Like being a mother, no. I couldn't imagine my children having to go hungry.
No. And there is such a rich quality, right? And I don't mean rich like wealthy, but I mean like a texturally rich quality to having such a huge why, right? Because that is really, I once had a mentor who used to say, you know, when the why is big enough, the how will show itself, right? And I think so often not sharing the bigger why will affect the how, right? Of how you reach people and how you motivate people. Like, there could be somebody listening to this who's going, wow, you know, I normally never would have thought that I could find myself leaning into somebody who does nutritional skincare health. But the way that this mission syncs up with self-care, which expands into our community and our children and all of these things, like, they all do tie together. And why am I not taking better care of my health? Right? Why am I not taking better care of myself and thereby also serving a greater community? And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it with you.
And you want to know what? That's one of my favorite things, is that ripple effect. And so at the end of the day, when I look at our clients, of course we want them, their skin to clear up. That's what they're here for us. But what I am most proud of when it comes to our clients is the ripple effect that it has in their family and the communities and the greater good. Because when a woman is empowered in her health, she's able to empower those around her, whether her children, her partner, her family members, her colleagues, and it starts to trickle out.
And as a cancer survivor, I will tell you, without your health, you have nothing. But also, you know, I was somebody, and I talk very openly about this all the time. I was somebody who, my not enoughness was so huge that one of the ways that I chose to deal with it very early on in my life, when I was, you know, like a teenager, late teenager, was to jump from plastic surgery table to plastic surgery table, and literally from surgery to surgery try to carve myself into someone more lovable on the outside than I felt I was on the inside. And, you know, I always share that as an example of, you know, the work being so much more than skin deep. But oftentimes, in order for people to even get there, right, the gateway drug, if you will, is, I feel like I'm never going to be enough unless my skin is clear. And if that is the case for you, then fucking clear up your skin.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is it's such a strong motivator, because we know the world we live in. It is, as much as we want to say your appearance doesn't matter, we live in a very visual, filtered, perfect world. And at the end of the day, you also want to feel good in your body.
There's a reason the beauty industry is billions of dollars. But even more to the point is, after I'd had the plastic surgery and I didn't feel like the ugly duckling anymore, right? It was only after the fact, when it was perfect and it was beautiful, or what, you know, it was never perfect or beautiful, let's be real, but, you know, it felt better than what it had been before, in my opinion. I mean, it's perfect and it's beautiful because it's me and it's unique. I'm going to give all these caveats now, because I'm a, you know, I'm a self-love advocate over here. But really the purpose of my point is, once I had quote unquote fixed the problem, or what I thought was the problem, but the problem was still there, I still didn't feel like I was enough. That's what allowed me to go deeper.
Absolutely.
That's what allowed me to do the deeper healing work, right? Because it actually wasn't about what I thought it was about, which was this skin deep thing. But the skin deep thing helped me access the deeper stuff.
Absolutely. And that's our clients, right? They come in for acne, and one of our core pillars that we work on with them is emotional well-being. And I think it's a big area that a lot of people don't focus on, right? Because we do gut and detox and hormones and skincare, but we have to be looking at our mental and emotional well-being as well, because especially with acne sufferers, they've spent years belittling themselves, negative self-talk, not being enough, not feeling lovable, feeling ugly, like saying all of the worst things. And we need to repair that relationship with yourself at the end of the day. And that has been such an incredible catalyst, was their acne. They come in for their acne, but they're like, I feel like just a better person. And one of my favorite stories, recently I spoke with a client, and she said, my teenage daughter came up to me and said, Mom, like, your energy's just different now. Like your skin's clear, but like you're just different, and like in a good way.
I mean, hello.
Yeah.
That's the juice. And it's funny, I sent out a newsletter. Actually, it's going out today. And I'm talking about, you know, all the different, and I've said this before on the podcast, but the way the newsletter frames it today is sort of like, here's all the bodies that I've been in, right? I've been in the the child body. I've been in the prepubescent, hormonally ridden weirdo body, riddled with angst. I've been in the dancer's body. I've been in the lover's body. I've been in the pregnant body. I've been in the plastic surgery body. I've been in the cancer body. I've been, all these different embodiments. I've been big. I've been small, right? Like gained and lost weight. I've embodied so many different versions of myself, but there was only one constant in all of that. Whatever my body presented as in any given moment, it was the only constant in my life. At any size, at any level of presentation, it was the only constant. It was my ride or die. It was my, I'm going to work on your behalf even when you're asleep. When you get sick, I'm going to fight for you. The more you spiral, the harder I'm going to work to bring you back. Like, I am going to love you so unconditionally. It's like, I almost see it like a child that's like, I will cook for you. I will clean for you. I will carry your burdens for you. I will do whatever it takes to please you. And, so often what we greet that with in return is, you're not sexy enough. You're not thin enough. You're not strong enough. You're not fast enough. You're not energized enough. Like whatever. We turn to our bodies or we look in the mirror and we say horrible things. Horrible. And can you imagine turning to a child and be like, yep, nope, still not good enough. Not enough, not enough, not enough.
I give that analogy to our clients all the time. And I say, if you came across a kindergartner learning to read and they were struggling and they couldn't read dog or cat, and you were like, oh my God, you can't read?
What's wrong with you?
You're an idiot. Like, that's
You're never going to amount
simple
to anything in life.
And I say, how easy do you think it would be for that child to learn to read? They're like, oh my God, like I would never. Absolutely. I'm like, then why are we speaking like that to ourselves every day?
Exactly. And really, what does that child want to hear? What does your body want to hear? I love you. Period.
Absolutely.
Period. Shut your mouth. Don't say anything else. Like, really, truly, it is quite a phenomenon that we have made our bodies the enemy when really they are our best friend, our oldest ally, and like, this is it. So let's befriend it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay. So how did you then go from I'm pivoting to studying this nutrition, which I, by the way, love that you came to so honestly as through a cooking show?
It was literally back in probably 2013. I got assigned to work on a gluten-free cooking show. Before
I'm gluten-free. I'm all ears. Which one?
And this was before this was before gluten was a thing, right?
No, I was diagnosed. Honey, oh my God, I just adore you. I could just call you honey.
I'll take it.
I was diagnosed 30 years ago as nobody knew what this was.
30 years
nobody
ago.
Gluten what? It's like you thought
what?
somebody sneezed when they said gluten. You're like, God bless you. No, and there was no like gluten-free bread, gluten-free.
Nothing.
If you wanted gluten-free bread, you had to fucking make it
yourself.
And myself in a bread maker, which I did buy, because I would go out to a restaurant and nothing was safe. It was like lettuce and chicken, thank you again. So gluten-free cooking show.
Yes.
Talk to me.
So I get assigned to this gluten-free cooking show probably about 2013. And let's say I'm an adopted Italian because my stepdad who raised me Italian. So that's what I ate. I ate pasta and bread and cheese and all those things. Amazing. Loved it.
I'm starving, by the way.
I'm also starving now. Now we need to go out for lunch after this.
Okay, derailing.
So I work on this gluten-free cooking show and I'm like, WTF is gluten and why would I ever stop eating bread and pasta? You're nuts.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. Not realizing like I had stomach aches all the time, migraines since I was a child, taking medication, skin issues, pain, like all of the things. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to remove it. And I, through this process, ended up discovering I was also celiac. I had no idea.
Welcome to the world.
My migraines that I had been taking medication since kindergarten for were gone. No more debilitating migraines. My stomach pain was gone. And I was like,
I had the same experience, by the way.
What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean? This is just, I thought this was my human body.
I mean, what the fuck with the allergies? Yes, but okay, keep going.
So I discovered that and then I'm like, well, what about dairy? And then I removed dairy and I'm like, all of my stomach pains are gone. Like they're completely gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, the food that I'm eating is impacting how I feel in a day. And so this is at the same time when my producer was like, what do you want to study? And I was like, I want to study nutrition because I love food, but oh my gosh, like I can't believe how much better I feel. So I start studying nutrition, and a job offer pops up for a videographer for one of Canada's biggest nutritionists. Her name's Julie Daniluk. So she's a nutritionist looking for a videographer. I'm like, this is perfect. That's what I'm going to school for. She comes from the school I go to, and she needs someone from television. So I start working for her, and she had an online business. And again, this was probably back in 2015. So it wasn't really, online businesses weren't a thing yet. And I thought, wow, this is really cool that she works for herself from home. She doesn't have to go into an office. I'm coming from television where you work 16 hours a day, and that's not sustainable when you want to have a family. And I started realizing like, oh man, like I could do this as well. And so I started getting into I remember joining Instagram the first month it came out. So
God bless you.
Like,
I didn't.
I know. I'm a millennial, so I've been around for a while. Not with these Gen Z that are like all on TikTok and everything. So I start working for her, and then I am realizing as I'm studying that my acne is an external symptom of an internal issue, because I had taken the birth control pill for a decade. And when I came off to switch to an IUD, that's when my skin went apeshit. I was like, what's going on here? I'm getting like braille, like acne all over my forehead, my cheeks, my chin. I was getting cystic acne on the backs of my arms. And I'm looking in the mirror and being this person that loves to wear that perfectionist mask. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am ugly. Like, what's going on here? And I was panicking because I'm in my early 20s, working at Hockey Night in Canada, having my face on an HD camera every single day, and not realizing that the external issue I'm having is actually a symptom that something's going on inside my body. So when I went back to school to study nutrition, I had this really big textbook, and 75% through, there was a paragraph on how the birth control impacts your body and how it impacts acne. And up until that moment, I had zero correlation between the pill and what was like impacting my body. And I obsessed over all things acne internal clearing, and was able to clear up my own acne over about, this was a while ago, but it was well over a decade, like 18 to 24 months it took me. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to help other women feel better. Because when I don't have my confidence, my self-esteem, I don't want to show up at work. I didn't want to be intimate with he was my boyfriend at the time, now husband. And I just didn't feel good in my own skin. So I know what it's like that when you don't have your confidence, it impacts every area of your life.
Talk about a ripple effect.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, talk about like every area of your life, your sex life, your relationships, your career, your social life. It impacts everything. And so when I finally got that confidence back, I'm like, I want other women to feel confident. It's not that I want them to have clear skin, but I want them to have that confidence back. So that's when I, I made a lead magnet, and I started doing things online. And then I went and took a bunch of business courses because I have a journalism background. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to launch this, because I've been working with clients one-on-one behind the scenes since I'd graduated in 2016 or 2017. But now we're going to do it online. And I did my very first webinar or masterclass 3 days before COVID hit. Oh. So we do the masterclass. What a time. I had 500 people register. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going to do so well. And then everyone that I talked to on the phone on a sales call was like, no, COVID, I'm not sure. I'm like, oh my God, I'm screwed. What have I done? Because I had no plan B. I'm like, I went all in on this. I quit my career in television. I was doing this. But then who knew having an online business in COVID would be so good. So my infrastructure.
Not to mention, people are on camera all day, every day. Nobody was on camera before that, unless you had a job in being on camera. Exactly. For the most part, anyway.
For the most part. So I feel like even though, COVID was a cluster F of everything, at the end of it, I'm like, this really was such a big catalyst for me, because everybody was at home, everybody had time on their hands, and everybody was on Zoom or on social media.
Yep.
And we blew up so quickly. I quickly hired my sister-in-law a few days a week to help with the Facebook group. Now she's the COO of the company. We hired another coach, Chris, who's now the director of programming for us. And over the last, since 2020, I guess, 6 years now, the company's grown to now there's 20 women that work for me. We have multiple different departments. I don't even see clients anymore, because it's like I'm so busy doing the behind the scenes stuff, and it just grew quickly.
Hey fam, it's me, Alexis. Quick pause to shout out something that's not just a sponsor. It's my creation, Soul Sway Practice. This is the evolution of fitness. Think of it like microdosing your own neurochemicals, dopamine, serotonin, all the good stuff, no substances required. Soul Sway takes what's dulled and deadened and brings it back to life. It's multi-dimensional self-care, movement, mindfulness, meditation that lets you actually hear yourself again, because our lives are loud, compartmentalized, draining. This is your time to come back online, set to curated and kick-ass soundtracks and cinematic backdrops that help remove the outside noise to tune into what matters most, you. This is your time, your practice, your life. Let's make it yours. With subscription-based classes, on demand, or courses, design your practice to not only fit, but enhance your life. Go to soulswaypractice.com and use code LAMN50 for 50% off your first month or year. You're welcome.
And what do you credit that with? I mean, because COVID's long gone. I mean,
Yes.
for the most part, and it's still growing and it's still thriving. Like, what do you credit that with? Like, what is the insight that you have into people? You know, not only, I mean, they have to be sharing about it, right? Like, there's got to be some word of mouth. Like, this is spreading, you know, authentically. What do you credit that with? Like, what is the human driver underneath it?
I think that our clients are coming in for their acne, but we hear this time and time again when they're finished with us, is they're like, even if my acne didn't clear, I would do this all over again because I feel so much better. I feel better physically. I'm not bloated. I don't have headaches. My periods are normal. And for years I've been told that everything's normal because my blood labs are fine. And I'm just dismissed by my doctor. And I didn't realize how good I could actually feel, but I also am more mentally, emotionally feeling better. And so I feel like when you are able to not only clear up your acne, but feel better as a human being, I think that's what's really been that driving catalyst to be like there's really something to this.
And it really, I mean, again, I'm such a body person. So to me, it totally ties back to, you know, like how not only you feel and not only what you're thinking, but sort of your body's response to that. You know, they're so intertwined, and so often you get into compartmentalized wellness, right? Like, you talk to somebody that's all about mindset and they're totally disregarding
And
the
that's
body.
it. It's just mindset.
Right. But if your body's not on board with a mindset shift, you're not necessarily going to have lasting, true, authentic transformation. You know, if you're just focusing on your skin, again, it's like I went through plastic surgery, but my internal ache was still there. My not enoughness was not being addressed. It was, again, just skin deep. So to me, there's like body, mind, heart, and soul, right? It's a very holistic approach, and not a lot of people have the broad expertise to be able to package all of that in a way that it's networked to work together and thereby create true, lasting, holistic change, right? So many people hear holistic and they think, oh, it's healthy. Holistic means healthy, natural. Like, no, holistic means whole. Whole body. And so many people use holistic, you know, improperly. And so, like, let that be a learning moment for everybody. Holistic doesn't mean natural or naturopathic. It means whole. And a lot of people are not giving whole approaches to things.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're always looking for that magic bullet. It's like, what's the one mindset thing I need? What's the one food? What's the one supplement?
Hack. The word hack,
The hack
always comes up.
What is
and
it?
By the way, hack is like, if you think about the word hack, it's like you think of that like a really bad comedian.
Yeah.
You know, they're a hack. Like, we don't want the hack.
No.
We want the actual healthy transformation that is real and whole and full and like thorough. Not a hack. Not a hack.
No, you want it all. And that's, I think, another reason why we've been able to be so successful with our clients and even with growing the company is because we take that holistic approach where we're not just looking at your gut. Like, we're looking at, obviously, your gut, your detox, your hormones, but we're looking at your mental health, your emotional well-being,
Yes.
your skincare, and taking that inside out and outside in approach to make sure that we're looking at everything that's happening in your body.
I mean, it's so crucial. I know, like, from building Soul Sway practice, just the idea of holistic wellness, as much as people, you know, want change and they want self-help and they want wellness and they want, you know, transformation, and you know, the self-help industry is $1 billion burgeoning business. when you do actually oftentimes offer holistic health, holistic by the real definition,
Yes.
right? Whole health. Like for Soul Sway, it's body, mind, heart, and soul. Like we are approaching it all in one foul swoop. It's so unfamiliar to people that it actually is a marketing conundrum for us. Like we actually don't know how to get people to understand that it is the groundbreaking nature of offering something that is 4D when it comes to wellness, because people are so used to what is the one hack?
What's the pill?
What's
for
the one
ill?
thing that I don't have that I need that you probably have the answer to that I don't, that is going to change everything for me? And by the way, nobody outside of you has that answer. Nobody outside of you has that pill. A pill doesn't exist. It's all within you, and it's about unlocking it, but doing it holistically.
Absolutely.
It's such a wild ride to be, people always tell me I'm ahead of my time, right? And I'm sure that you get that a lot too, because there is something to thinking bigger than the boxes that we've all put ourselves into, right? So many people listening, they're like, no, actually, if my skin was cleared up, I'd be fine. Like they really committed to that belief. And maybe that's true. I'm never a blanket statement person. Like maybe that really is the thing and all else as well. But I'm willing to bet 99 times out of 100 that that's not true, that there is something deeper than that going on.
I think so for sure. It's that limiting belief that we have, and for so many people is that not being enough. And yes, are you going to be feeling mentally and emotionally better from your skin? Absolutely. But it's not, I don't think for most people it's going to be the one end all be all, because there's always going to be that inner voice in there that we need to look at deeper.
1,000%. So here you are, you've built this banging business, and you are doing this online, you're doing it in person. You have like the 20 people that you've hired, are you all localized? Are you throughout the country? Like where are you?
We're 100% virtual. So I'm from Canada. I live just outside of Toronto in the Niagara area. That's where I'm based, but our company is across Canada. We have had American employees, but it's just so happened that the people that end up applying are Canadian, and the majority of us are in my same province, but we have some on the West Coast, we have some on the East Coast. So everyone works from home, which is great, because another thing is being a mom, I wanted women to have the flexibility to, if their kid's sick, they can go and pick them up from school. If they, have an appointment, they can like rearrange their schedule instead of being in that very structured box of this is a 9-to-5 corporate and this is all you can do, because for the majority of my team, they're moms. And as
hallelujah, more of this, please.
Being a mom, a working mom is one of the hardest things.
Well, I think that's why a lot of women, I digress here, but like a lot of women, they go to like MLM jobs so that they can like make their own hours and, find a way to make money doing something that they love or believe in. I mean, really, it's not easy to come by especially here in America. I mean, Canada is maybe a little bit different, but it's quite the juggle for the women who do want to lean in to
Absolutely.
having and doing it all. And so how has your, personal journey been reflected in what this business has been able to accomplish and is accomplishing?
I think for sure is being able to employ an all-female team, like I mentioned at the beginning, is because I come from that domestic violence home and I saw how difficult it was for my mom to leave, and how when she did leave, how hard she was working 3 jobs. Like it was such a difficult time for her, and I would never want a woman to not be able to leave a situation for fear of financial reasons. So when I started out this company, I'm like, I want to make sure that the women I pay, like they're enjoying, like they get a job where they feel proud that they have money that they can use to secure themselves financially for themselves and their family. I'm not hoping that they're coming from a domestic violence home by any means, but it's like, for me, I think when I think about things I am most proud of, that's got to be one of them.
Financial autonomy for women.
Autonomy for women.
Independence. Sure.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things that I've noticed has shown up most in the company that I have.
It's so interesting. I feel like I've heard, God, I don't remember what celebrity it was that was talking about this, but I was watching something recently where a female celebrity was talking about the importance of financial autonomy for women. And, it's not to say that where the money needs to come from. Maybe it does come from your partner, right? And the negotiation that you have with your partner is, I'm, taking care of the home,
absolutely,
or the children, and you're spending your time at an office or whatever. But the money that comes into the home is our money. And off of that money, this is what I get for maintaining the home or whatever. But that money is mine, and it's financial autonomy to a woman that is actually working and making her own money, whether she's, a wife, a parent, whatever. It's like, but just having that sense of financial independence being so important for women. And I feel like there is something to that. Again, not a blanket statement, but I think that what this person was saying is actually really, really valuable, because here we are talking about our not enoughness, right? And so often we will measure that in dollars. We will measure that in pounds. We will measure that in how many pimples we have on our face. We will measure that in how many likes we get or don't get, all of that kind of stuff. And while I'm a huge advocate for never measuring, because our soul and our value is immeasurable, right? Our human nature is going to measure. And so I think that financial autonomy being something that we, a muscle that we flex and work on strengthening and not letting atrophy, can be important for women. And so I think that that's a really beautiful gift that you're highlighting is a focus of what you're doing in the greater good of your mission.
It's been such a critical thing, because even as I was a little kid, my mom would drill into me, Katie, you will be financially independent, you will be financially wealthy yourself, you won't have to rely on any man.
And granted, that's her trauma.
That's her trauma speaking
to you, but in the same breath, she wants you to have the resources that she didn't have.
Yeah. And whether you're a stay-at-home mom and you make that decision with your partner, that amount of money is going to be coming to you, absolutely, because being a stay-at-home mom, my goodness, that takes a different breed of woman to do that.
There is no amount of money. Hear me now. There is no amount of money that could equate to the work of a mother.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, I think I've always had that in my head, that was such a big driving factor for me to be successful, because I didn't want to be in the same scenario as my mom. But I'm so lucky to have the most amazing, incredible husband that's so supportive. But my mom wasn't lucky like that in the beginning.
Well, and I don't know why I feel like my intuition is going, you have to say this on the podcast right now. Which is so often when I work with women, and just because we're talking about like self-worth, right? And we're also talking about money. So many times when I'm working one-on-one with women in particular, or maybe even a retreat setting or group setting, there is such a misjudged sense of money, right? And I mean that in terms of like even just women going, well, what should I charge for this, right? Or I can't ask for that raise, or whatever. Just put it like that. And, or, it's, I can't spend that kind of money on myself, whatever it may be, right? And so often what people don't realize when they're in that place is that money is energy, right? It's just like anything else, right? Before there was money, there was, I will give you this horse and you give me that cow and we're good, right? Or, prostitution's the oldest religion. You give me, this satisfaction and I will give you whatever I give you in exchange for that. But that means that whatever we have that is of value is what we are giving in exchange for value in the form of dollars and cents, right? So what does that really mean? It means that you don't value yourself enough to think that you're worth buying that purse or asking for that raise or whatever. It is all about a self-worth issue. It's never actually about the money. It's about you don't think you have enough value to offer to warrant where that decimal point goes.
1,000%, yes. Yep.
It is a self-worth crisis that we are trying to equate to dollars and cents. And that's just bad math, because your value is immeasurable, right? You would never look at two babies next to each other, I've used this analogy before, and say, this one is worth something and this one isn't. This one's going to amount to something, this one isn't, right? This one's worth spending on, that one's not. You would never do that.
Never.
And somehow we think we outgrow that immeasurable value. We don't. We don't. But all of a sudden, we try to start to measure it with what we're worth and what we're not worth. Our worth never changes. Stop lowering your price. Stop lowering your value. Stop believing you're not worth anything, everything. And I love that is a tent pole in what you're doing.
I know I can see each one of those examples that you gave. Like when I first started, I'm like, who am I to charge X, Y, and Z? I'm just me. Like, I'm not worth that. Like you couldn't even imagine it. So that was a really big mindset block I had to work through for myself, was not being worthy enough to charge what my services were worth. And then on like the other example you gave, we have clients all the time, you know, they come, they speak to one of our acne advisors. They're like, oh my gosh, I know this is going to change my life. And then they're like, I have to talk to my husband about it first. And then they go talk to the husband, and then it ends up being a no. And I can only imagine what that is putting into their brains, as they're not worth that money to feel better.
And it's so funny because when it comes to your health, right? Like, I get a cancer diagnosis. Is there anything in the world that would have stopped me, no matter what the cost was?
Never.
From paying for that treatment?
No.
We find the money when we see the value, when we see what it's going to cost us not to have it.
Absolutely.
Right? And so we have to see ourselves as that valuable and that worthy. And that's a you know, a steep mountain that women are climbing, right? But you know, I digress, only to say that I really appreciate that you're doing this in your company, and let it be, you know, a model for how other people can incorporate that into what they're doing in terms of the world of business for women.
Yeah, the world of business for women, it's such a fascinating topic that I find. So often I like to give the analogy of like, well, would a man be afraid to ask for a raise? Would a man feel bad about, oh, I can't charge that for my services? Never. You would never hear that.
And what would our world be if women just settled every time and didn't push past the status quo? I mean, think of all of the women-founded businesses and the female innovations that if women didn't push past those limitations, you know, where the world would be. It's really, truly mind-blowing. So yeah, I mean, that's a whole other podcast. Women in business. Well, there are a lot of podcasts out there, so I guess we're not really missing out on much. Okay, so here you are. Yes. You're doing this thriving business that's only growing. What is your future horizon vision for this?
Yeah, I'm a true entrepreneur. I'm always thinking, what's next, what's the next goal? And when I look at where I want to bring the company, there's multiple avenues I want to have, because I have a background on television. I still miss it. I absolutely love it. So
as a child, you were like, that I'm going to be on television. That's
that
what
is
I'm doing.
it. So having a media company is one portion of the business. Media company, you know, whether it's we're working on getting our YouTube up and going, you know, pitching shows to networks, whatever that may be. I'd love, one of my big goals is I'd love to do almost like a Queer Eye / a home makeover, but for women and acne sufferers. I would love to do that. And then that's one avenue, but we also have a cookbook coming out. So we have the whole book revenue. We are launching a nutrition academy for skincare professionals to teach nutrition to estheticians so they can bring that into their businesses. And then, you know, working on that other avenue, which will be supplementation, skincare, so we can kind of start creating and branching off. And then another big and scary goal is I've always wanted to put a wellness center in the area where I live in Canada, and just have a very holistic wellness center as well. So I've got a lot of ideas and
a lot of big dreams.
I'm a big
lot
dreamer.
of admirable goals. A lot of intention and inspiration in each of those. And it really makes me want to ask you, for the benefit of the people that are listening, what is it inside of you? Perhaps these are insights that you've gained along the way of having to be so resilient. Perhaps it is a, you know, from all the work that you've done on yourself, like some sort of process that you've innovated for yourself, like an internal process, but like that level of self-belief, that level of permission that so many people don't give themselves to have those big dreams, to make those pivots, to go for it. You know, the resilience that it's taken you to be able to access this level of potential and possibility in yourself. Like, what can you share with people about that?
Yeah, like when you say all these big goals out loud, like, again, I don't often share my big goals with people because, again, it's scary because you're like, oh my gosh, what are they going to think about my goals? And they're going to think I'm not going to be able to do it. And just over the years, I think it's, for me, again, it probably comes down to not feeling worthy enough, where I'm like, I know I will feel enough if I have all of these companies and I'm so successful and I've achieved all of these things, then I'll be enough. So I think I'm probably operating a little bit on that because I'm still working through those limiting beliefs myself. I don't want to sit here and say I'm perfect and I figured it all out, because I'm a work in progress. So I think that's probably a big one there. And I think just learning the resiliency, because over my career, there's been so many times when I just, I could have given up or taken a break, but I pushed through in order to hit the goals and do the things I wanted to do. So when I look at that perspective, I'm like, okay, I can do hard things. Like, I've pushed through. I can do this. So I think for me, really working on reframing all of that negative self-talk as well, catching myself when I'm saying it and saying, no, like, you are worthy. You can do this. You can do hard things. And I'm really big into like a spiritual practice. So doing my gratitude and my law of attraction and my frequency, and just really learning everything I can in that realm has also helped me push through.
Was there a moment in time where you ever weren't like that? Where you ever didn't have the awareness? Where you ever, weren't necessarily on the path of understanding spiritual practices or the law of attraction,
Absolutely.
Like, so what can you walk us from how you got from one place to the next?
Yeah. Well, when I was little, even when I was, 8, 9, I remember thinking like, I'm going to do big things in the world. So I think I always had that like inner knowing or that intuition that I would do something big. So I always had that in there. And while I had my biological father, which wasn't a great situation, my mom and stepdad were always instilling in me, you can do hard things, you can do this, just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't do X, Y, and Z. Like, they were very supportive. So having that support system, I think, was very helpful for me. And then I remember being like, my parents were big into self-help books. So like, they had The Secret and the Law of Attraction and the Wallace D. Waddles. And I remember seeing those on the bookshelves when I'd be like 11 or 12. And my parents, would have the Law of Attraction with like the $1 million check on the mirror. And they would do all of those things, even though my mom came from a very, very poor background. So I think just having that example where my parents, they did lead by example. So I think that really helped push me into that direction of law of attraction. But then of course I'm a teenager and I'm going to university and I'm living my best life partying, and I don't care about any of that stuff because it's all nonsense. And then I think just as I've naturally gotten older and I've done more work on myself, whether it's through therapy and looking back at these challenges that I've had, I've just wanted to feel better overall. And it kind of just naturally led me into the more spiritual manifestation, law of attraction type of work. And I've just always gravitated to it because I come from a family that, they love tarot cards and psychics. So I've been very open and had an open mind to a lot of these things. And I think that's all of these life experiences have just kind of pushed me into that direction.
I mean, there's something really wonderful about having that influence from a young age so that you have an availability or an openness to it that maybe you wouldn't if you didn't grow up in an environment like that, or let alone an environment that naysays it. So that's really amazing. But, even for the people that do grow up in those naysayer environments or those dismissive, negating environments of more of the woo-woo-ness, there are people that come to it honestly in moments of their own evolution or awakening. And so, I always think it's really important for people to hear anybody that sits in the chair on this podcast, how they arrived to that level of self-awareness and self-advocacy, because Look at Me Now is all about how we've gotten to where we've gotten as an internal journey, not to be externally measured, but what actually do I credit for getting me here?
I guess when you phrase it like that, for me, I think a big catalyst was my very first pregnancy loss when I lost that baby at 5 months. Like that was, I think, a really big turning point for me looking back, because while I was open to the spiritual things, having grown up the way that I did, I wasn't as diehard about it as I am now. And I remember someone actually in the span of a week, I had like 3 or 4 people recommend the book Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. And I was like, okay, universe, I get it. I hear you. I'll read the book.
Yeah.
And this was after my second loss. So this is where I'm suffering PTSD, depression, like I can barely get through a day. I'm like, I'll read the damn book. So I get it. And it's almost like I had this light bulb cartoon moment where it went off and I was like, oh, damn. And that's where I realized like we're all on this soul journey, and the experiences, as shitty as they are and as horrible as they are for so many of us that experience them, they were put here for a purpose, whether for our soul to grow, for someone else's soul to grow. And we make these decisions before we come here in these soul contracts of like, this is what you signed up for, because this is what you needed to learn in order to grow. So when I looked at it from that perspective, I think that was a really big mindset shift for me.
It's all about perspective, right? Like the quality of the questions you're willing to ask yourself about yourself is going to be the quality of your life. And it's really all about perspective shifts, right? Going from boots on the ground to, 10,000 feet bird's eye view. It's going to look very, very different. And that is the value of a perspective shift. And it's about, having that soul view rather than the, just human view, which is very, very, very limited and very black and white. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm going to ask you the final question that we ask everybody on this podcast, which is, I want you to imagine, going inside, maybe closing your eyes, whatever, but just envision you're in the mirror. All the external gaze, all the judgments, all of the agendas of anyone and everyone around you fades into the distance. This is you and you. This is the you that survived the domestic abuse. This is the you that went through trying to figure out who she was in this world. And was she the masked face that presented out on television? Was she the person who's helping people heal from the inside out? You've had these pregnancy loss, and you've also had these beautiful births of these children. You've built this burgeoning business that is helping women all over the world with really big missions and goals that are just going to help serve humanity. What is it that you have to say to that person in the mirror to acknowledge and validate, no matter what you've done or not done, you are so worthy of love. Your value is immeasurable. What do you say to that gaze in the mirror?
Wow. That was a very profound portrait that you just painted. And I think I would just say that you are worthy, you are enough, and you're a strong human being to do all of this and keep going.
A to the motherfucking men. That's what I have to say to that. Beautiful. What a beautiful moment.
Thank you.
How can people be, I always do this, part of your world?
I am a big Disney fan, so I loved that.
My inner Ariel.
I loved Little Mermaid growing up. You can find me at Katie Stewart Wellness, Instagram, YouTube, our website. That's where we're hanging out the most.
I love it. I'm hanging out there. Come join me.
Absolutely.
Come join me. Come join us. We're doing it. We're doing it. We are business women and we are doing it. God damn. I love everybody. You know I do. You know that I do. I love you all. I hope you got so much out of this episode. I know I did. Thank you so much for sharing your story as honestly as you did. Authenticity is the greatest currency. That's what this podcast is all about. I love you. I love you. Signing off. See you next time. Bye, y'all.
Join us for Look at Me Now, wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to share, like, and subscribe.